Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been kind of a boring week. We had 4 days of just been going sideways in this range right here. So, let's see how this range breaks. But if we zoom in on this price action here, you could kind of see something interesting, which to me it looks like two things. Either one, we have a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here and we got to move down. We got a three-way move up. And now we have this engulfing candle, bearish engulfing candle, which could set off the C wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, A, and then B, right? So we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for C. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here at the moment. So let's see how that plays out. But what we could also see here is a fourth wave. So we have 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, and then we go up and hit 5. And then we get maybe a bigger A, B, C later on. That's kind of what I'm thinking as well. So yeah, let's see how it plays out. We're in this little range right here. So anything can happen really. It could be also that if we zoom in even further, this could be complete. This could be done, meaning this could be, for example, a flat. So we have boom, boom, boom. Perfect, almost a perfect flat. So is the flat finished? I mean, possibly. It looks like it could be. If it was a running flat. So A, B, C. We have a running flat. The problem is, we have Thanksgiving week. So, people aren't trading. Volume is low. We're going into the weekend, which is even lower volume. So it's probably nothing spectacular is going to happen until next week. So until then, I would imagine we kind of come up a little bit, see what happens here. Maybe we hit the low, and then start our way back up and kind of go sideways all weekend. So let's just look at the bigger time frames now. The daily chart is still questionable. Obviously, we're looking at this either as a reversal, which if it is a reversal, then we're looking at a mid-cycle correction. We're looking at not a full-on bear market, right? Um, there's no way in hell that XRP is going to come down and go on another 8-year bear market just like it did over here. That's just get that out of your head right now. That's not happening. That's not happening. So, again, we've been in a bear market for how long? 8 years? We've been in a bear market for 8 years. 8. So, you know, we're due. We're closer to the finish line than people think we are. Now with Bitcoin potentially entering bear market territory, right? Begs the question, will we ever see an alt rally? And the way I look at it is two ways this could happen, right? And the first way is on a Bitcoin retrace. So if we look at Bitcoin right over here, and there we go. So let's zoom out a little bit more here on the 10-day for XRP. So for Bitcoin, there's two ways this could happen. Obviously, we're looking for a retrace, right? Let's throw on some. Do we have? I don't see it there. Let me see if it's on this side here. Nope. Yep, not sure where it went. I was looking for my moving averages, but anyways, there we go. So we're on the 100-week moving average. And on the daily, we've broken through all the moving averages, right? So But we broke through all the moving averages back over here too. And we broke through all the moving averages back over here too. And we broke through all the moving averages over here too. So there's still a chance that, we could recover. But here's the way I look at it. So the way I look at it is we're going into a retrace. And if there's two ways you get an alt season. The way we got an alt season right here was in a Bitcoin retrace, right? So Bitcoin had, when we had this explosion, Bitcoin was already in a bear market. It had already crashed, and it was going into a retrace. So if this is the same environment, and we're going into a bear market for Bitcoin, not for the altcoins have been in bear markets, right? Most of the altcoins, I'd say 99.9999% of them are all in bear markets. And there's only Bitcoin and a select few that are in actual real bull markets. So the way you get an alt season, or specifically referencing XRP, is you need 5 waves, right? 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we really only need one more extension. How do we get that extension if Bitcoin's in a bear market? You get it in the retrace. Now, if we don't get it, now let's say Bitcoin goes up and it retraces like this, and it actually takes the top, or maybe it doesn't take the top, and we see XRP doing the same exact behavior, and then we kind of come down and then we come down, then I would not expect us to go up here. I would not expect it. What I would then expect then is I would expect us, well, depending on what Bitcoin does, let's look at Bitcoin for a second. Depending what Bitcoin does, right? I would expect, let's zoom out a little bit here, us to go up, right? Have a retrace, then come back down, right? Have a bigger move down, but then we'll get a bigger retrace, and we could see it another time, but it's less likely because then Bitcoin's already knee deep in the bull or the bear market. But again, what if we're not going into a bear market? What if it's a mid-cycle correction? Something kind of like this, where you had some big moves. So you have a flat here, boom, right? So it could be 3 up, it could be 3 down, and then we could go up in 5 and finish. And we could get the alt season right there. So either we get the alt season right here for XRP, or we get it right there. I don't think we're going to go into a full-fledged complete catastrophe like that. The reason why we had something like that is because we had a bull run like that. Look at the difference in bull run. This bull run went straight up, meaning there's no sustainability. This bull run, you completed a base structure, sideways structure. Think about steel beams going across the base, right? You have support, right? So you're building support. You layer up, or you level up, and then you build more support. Then you level up. Then you build more support. Then you level up. Then you build this massive flat here, right? So I don't think it's just going to go straight down, because you have these big bases, and these bases, you can extend them outwards, and you're going to have a lot of support here. So you have basically these two bases down here, and you have these two bases up here, and you kind of have this gray area in the middle, which could be, where we head towards if we are in a full bear market. I would expect we would hold 50K. I don't think Bitcoin is ever going below, say, 40K ever again. I just really don't think so. If it did, it would be doing something completely different, because, look, here was our last cycle. We broke out, we backtested. Okay, so if we did the same thing, Here's our cycle. We broke out, we backtest, and that would be the high of 62. So if we went even lower than that, we would be going below the backtest. So going back to Bitcoin or XRP here, you know, but real quick. So there, again, there's two things with Bitcoin. Either one, this is a flat here. We have 1, 2, 3, and this is a flat here for a 4. And then we're going to go get 5. That's 1. 2 would be this is still a flat, but we go up in 3 in a retrace, and we could get a rally there, right? And then followed by 3 down, and then a continuation later on. So those are the two options we have. Now, if we go up in 5, and this is a flat, and we go up and take the top, then I would expect a big bear. I would expect a full-fledged bear market, right? Not some little mid-cycle correction. It would be very big. So maybe not so dramatic like that. It would just be more like stretched out. It wouldn't be so angled down. It would be more sideways, if anything. So you could correct. So bear markets, you could correct through price and you correct through time. So, you know, it might not be a price bear market. It could be a time bear market, right? There's, you know, we have time bear markets and price bear markets. Obviously, we would see downside, but it would be more so, you know, ranging, right? So if this is 3 down, then we get 3 up, then we get maybe 5 down, right? And then we kind of chill out a little bit, build a little bit of a bottom down in here, then level up a little bit, then start rampaging back to the upside. So it's not like we're going to go into some major thing. It could last, here's the thing. If we don't get if we don't get XRP exploding off of this retrace, like it did back over here in the retrace, then we would have to wait for Bitcoin to have 3 down, 3 up, 3 down, and then for it to recover or for it to go into another retrace, right? Because we could have, if it was really bad, it could be 3 down, 3 up, 5 down, and that's 3 right there. So then it could be another 3 and another 3, but I highly doubt that. That would be way too big. It would take too long as far as timing goes. So what we could do for timing is we go like this, and we'll go down there, and then I'll take this right there. Look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this. And I'll do the same thing right there. Now I could do it here, right? Just like it was here. I could do it there. So when is that? That's 2020. That's this coming year. So that's literally like what? A year away, less than a year away. Now, as far as price goes, it's not going to go down there as far as price. It would probably be more so. I don't see Bitcoin ever going back to 30K. If it did, it would have to be the cycle low. It would have to be, because this is all the support right here, right? We broke out, but we never back tested it. So it could be that we had to go to 30K, but I just don't think so. Unless we have a big bear market in the stock market. Now, if that happens, it's very possible, right? But if we're getting a new Federal Reserve chairman, we should get easier monetary policy. So I think people are going to get wrong-sided in this. I think, yes, it does look bad. Yes, we have 5 waves, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We actually have 7 waves. So there's every reason to say, you know what, this has to chill out for a while and go sideways for a while and then resume the bull market. So that's exactly what I think is happening here, unless we get another hit. If we get another hit to the high, then I would expect the same thing. Either way, Bitcoin is going to get a bear market very, very soon. Either one more high or we're in it right now. So you could say, well, what about the altcoins? That's what really matters, right? So if we look at the altcoins for XRP and we look at Bitcoin here, so if Bitcoin goes up in 3 waves, that could be all that's needed. And let's say it takes the top here, just like 3 drives to the high, right? So if we go down to like the 12-hour chart, and I want to show you what that looks like. So this is 3 drives to the high right here. So you get 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's what you call 3 drives to the high, which is bearish divergence. So what I'm saying is we could be right here. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Right off the 100. Wait, that's not right because that's not the daily. Never mind. Never mind. Take that back. No, what? But yeah. So if we look at it from a daily chart, I think we fell below the 100 over here. Did we? No, you know what? It was actually perfect. No. That's back over here. That's back over here. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is the structure of the chart, right? So again, boom, 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 3-wave retrace, crash, 1 more retrace, and then the big capitulation. All right, so remember that. Remember that. So that could be what's going on over here. I got to go to the 2-day chart. So we have 1, 2, 3. Remember, that was a distribution fractal. You can say, hey, you can't do that. You know, why not? That was the same distribution. That was the previous top. If there's anything we should be looking at, if there's anything at all we should be looking at, it's the previous distribution fractal. Right? As a matter of fact, I've done this before. I could just take a bars pattern if it would let me. I just got a new phone. I got the Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus because I lost my phone when I was out dirt bike riding, and I never lose my phone. The reason I lost my phone is because I took it out of the case so that it would fit on the tripod. And when I took it off the tripod, I didn't put it back in the case, and I had set it down on my back pocket, and then I was riding, and then it slipped out. So I'm like, oh no, all my money's on there, my crypto, my photos, you know, nobody could get in my phone, it's locked. But I was freaking out really bad. And then I ran to the phone store, and I said, look, I lost my phone. I need a new phone. You know, can you track it? So I bought it. I got a new phone, and then I was able to track my old phone, you know, using Samsung Find My Phone, whatever. And I had the actual literal GPS coordinates of where it was. So I went down there, and because I was trying to look for it, I was going back and forth on the trail, you know, because we were out there, and it was actually right in here. I was on this trail right here, and you know, you could pretty much see, you know, your phone. If your phone was laying there, you could see it. So I was going back and forth. It was a few miles, so it was a lot of ground to cover. But what happened was it actually fell in the shrubs over here, and I would have never found it. So look, I want to see if you guys can see it. Can you find my phone? Okay, sorry about that. Can you find the phone? I was going back and forth. I mean, this is miles and miles and miles. And I would have never found it. But look where it's at. It's right there. Holy shit. That's crazy. Anyways, here we go. The Bitcoin fractal. And when you don't want to know the funniest part, so I got home. So I put the phone in my backpack, and I got home, and the phone wasn't there. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now? So I don't know where it's at. So I used the tracker again, and it says it's in my house. So I'm just confused. Like, where did my phone? Did I just lose it again? Did I just do all that for nothing? And I can't really, it's dead. My phone's dead. So there's no way I can really know for sure. But I was able to get all my crypto, because it's a headache, man. You lose your phone, and then like you say you sign into like an exchange like Coinbase or Binance or whatever, they're gonna be like, let me send you, it's just kind of difficult. Like you could know your password, and I forget my password all the time, but because I have so many different passwords for so many different things, and you don't want to keep the same password for every single thing, even though it's kind of easier to do that. But um, yeah, so just trying to. My biggest thing was the money, right? Making sure I could get into my exchange and I wasn't locked out, and I was able to get, my photos should be backed up, and they were like Google Photos, right, which is good. But then the inconvenience of all the apps, you got to put all the apps back in, then you got to sign in all the apps, and they got to recognize your phone, then they got to, and it wouldn't have worked unless I had a new phone, because they often text you, right? So they confirm you by texting you. So, but if you lost your phone, how do you have to have the same phone number, right? That's why I was so critical. Like, hey, I need a phone. I need my same phone number. So, and it was a little bit sketchy because uh, I was in two trades. I'm still in two trades. I was in a Bitcoin trade, a Bitcoin Cash trade, and an XRP trade. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to close these trades? My phone's gone. I mean, obviously, I could close it on my computer, but I really never go on my computer. I try to keep everything on the phone because I want to be independent from a computer. Like if there's an emergency, like I always wanted to. And it's kind of funny because this was an emergency, and it kind of didn't work out in my favor, but it did. Ultimately, it did. So, Coinbase, I took a picture of my ID and my face. I sent it to Coinbase. I said, look, I lost my phone. I need you to guys open my app. So they did. It was just a freaking stressful headache. And the worst part was driving home. I had to drive like an hour home knowing my phone, I left my phone there. And like I didn't give a crap about anything else, about like social media or any of that. Like that doesn't mean anything to me because I can always sign back in later. It was, the main thing was, can I get my passwords? Can I get my crypto? And then my wallets too. Like if you download a hardware wallet, or I'm sorry, like for example, like Exodus. By the way, if you guys don't have a wallet, I recommend Exodus wallet. It's an offline / wallet, and you don't need to pay for anything. And yeah, so but the problem is if you get a new phone, you have to remember your 12 word recovery phrase. And yeah, so I was looking for that, and because that was years and years ago when I set that up. So, anyways, you gotta stay. This is just a remind. Gotta stay organized. You gotta keep all your stuff, and don't lose your phone like I did. Um, because the phone, they make them so slippery, right? Have you ever held a Galaxy phone or any phone? Any phone, it's so slippery. It's like they're super super thin. There's no grip on them, right? It's like, why don't they make cell phones textured like on a gun, right? So if you're holding a gun, it's not going to be all silky, smooth, right? There's going to be texture on it, basically grip, right? You need grip, unless I put grip tape on it. So anyways, I'm trying not to go anywhere because I'm waiting for my phone case. I got my phone case coming in today. So that'll be cool. And then I don't have to worry about anything. But anyways, so yeah, here's that little fractal here. So basically, even in a distribution range, you could see something like this, right? You could see something where, you know, you have one more drive to the high here. Let me see if I could get it a little bit better. It's probably not going to be the best. Okay. So what I'm saying here is you have one more chance, you have two more chances if it was going to follow this fractal. And you could say, well, how the hell is XRP going to go to $5 to $10 on that little tiny bounce? Well, let me just show you. This little tiny bounce ain't a little tiny bounce. This little tiny bounce is really, how big is this thing? If we went up back to the top, that's a 50, no. Yeah, that's $55,000, guys. Oh my God. Oh my God. 55,000. That's a $55,000 move right there. $54,700. That's crazy. You could say, yeah, but the percentages, well, that's still 67%, right? Is that 67%? That's a lot. I'll just do it from where we're at. I'll do it again. That's still a 47% move. That's a $44,000 move, right? So if we look at XRP, all we need is one parabola. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We hit, you know, between $5 and $10, hopefully, right? It could be as little as 450. It could be as little as 450, but it would have to be an extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how do we know what that extension would be? Well, we could simply take a Fibonacci level from the bottom to the very top, back to the bottom, and then let me see if this is all correct. It's not. There we go. So, okay, so the 1-to-1 would be $5. So we at least want to hit 494. The 1618 comes in at $7. So between 630 and 7. And then we would have, you know, between 9 and 10. And if we really wanted to get crazy, you know, 13 to 15, but I don't know. I don't really feel like 13 to 15 right now, honestly, unless things turn around, right? Because we still have more of the XRP ETFs coming. We still have, there's still a lot of stuff to look forward to, right? This is the beginning, not the end. Everyone's like, oh, it's over now. It's over. It's over. It's over. No, this is the beginning, not the end. Remember, we're not with Biden. We're not with sleepy Joe Biden anymore. We're with an administration that basically it's almost all of, you know, a large percentage of its net worth is in crypto. So you don't think their dad, you know, Eric Trump and Don Jr., I mean, they're building World Liberty Financial, a DeFi platform. You don't think crypto is in their best interest? I am glad that they're in crypto. Some of the politicians, oh, you shouldn't be in crypto because that's, you know, quid pro quo or whatever they want to say, it's corruption. I say no, it's actually a good thing because then it actually motivates them to do right by crypto. So either way, we're going to hit these levels. We will. You have to have conviction. We will hit those levels. And the reason we will is because just look at the chart. Just look at the chart. It's insanely bullish. At least it looks like that to me, right? You have rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways. You didn't just build this for 8 years just to die. It literally makes no sense. So let's talk about that. So the worst case scenario, there we go, I think. That's, okay. The worst case scenario is we have to come down in this zone here, you know, between, I don't like those lines. I don't know why I picked those lines. Let's just do a zone. That's so much better. And here we go. So the zone would be, it's a pretty big zone, but you know, it is what it is.
Here we go. So here we go. Ready? So if Bitcoin goes up here in a retrace, it doesn't have to take the top. It could just be a regular retrace. And let's say that happens, but as that happens, Bitcoin or XRP does not go into a parabola. It only also goes into a retrace. Then what would I think? Then what I would think is, okay, now we have a head and shoulders, and then we would probably break down. And then this would be a three-way move down, and then maybe we come back up and we go up in three, and then we come down maybe in five, and we set a low down in here, and then we kind of chill out a little bit, go sideways, build support, build structure, and then we go at it again. So it's either going to happen now or it's going to happen a lot later. So either way, it's going to happen. And that's the fun part. Like, you can't lose. I don't see how we lose. If you have a job and you're earning money every week, you put that money to work, at least what you have left of it. Not financial advice. I could be wrong. We could go to zero, but do you really think we're going to go to zero? Hell no. If XRP was going to go to zero, it should have already went to zero during the lawsuit, during its weakest moment of all. It should have went to zero. But now this is going to be the first. Let's say Bitcoin goes into its bear market, and let's say XRP has this, which is just something like this, which is just a continuation of the bear market. If we went into some kind of, this bear market, it's going to be short-lived. It's not going to take 8 years like it did before, right? So we have to understand that. We can't get too hopeless that this is going to take that this is not going to happen, right? So regardless, it will eventually happen. It's just a matter of when it will happen, right? So again, that would be, to me, the worst case scenario. Now, if we went into an apocalypse, then I would say three down. I would say this is three up, and then we would have to go three down, which would be completely devastating. And it would just be a monster flat. And I just don't really understand why that would be. That would mean we would go lower than the most depressing time in XRP's history, right? XRP is the only one with regulatory clarity, really. XRP is not a security, right? So does it really mean a lot? Not really. But it did mean a lot when we got that, when Trump won. When Trump won, this is the explosion we got. Okay? And now we have an A, B, C. So I don't see a bearish chart. I see a bullish chart. I see an impulse, and I see a three-wave pullback. So there's two things that could happen. One, we go up instead of five-wave move. Or two, we go into a retrace. If we go into a retrace with Bitcoin, then we know, hey, this isn't going to work. We should expect it to be later on. But we're going to find out. Probably, I would say by the end of January, we'll know for sure what's going on here. So we don't even know if this C wave is done. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have to go down for 5. And actually, I might even like that better, because then it would give us a more, a clearer 5-wave structure. And it would probably mean that Bitcoin would have to, let's see here. So I don't know why this chart's white and this chart's gray. Again, I got a new phone, so it's probably that's the reason. But the way I do mine is I go to the canvas, and then I go to gradient, and then I like the top white, I think, and I like the bottom gray. I think that's how I did it. Is that the same? I guess it's the same. Whatever. So again, if this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, we might have one more wave down. And if we had another wave down, it wouldn't be such a bad thing, because what we actually want is the bigger this crashes, see, people say, remember back when we were over here, I said, oh, look, it's developing a three-way pullback. But what did I say? I said, it doesn't look finished. Now it's starting to look more finished, but it still doesn't look finished because this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if it is 5, that means the wave's going to be further down. But that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Because then if it's further down, like down here, then you have a bigger retrace, right? Would you rather have a retrace from here to there? Or would you rather have a retrace from here to there, right? Same spot, but this is a longer distance, which means that could set more fuel for XRP. So yeah, I would say you have 3 down, you have 3 up, you have 1, or you have 3 back down, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So 3, 3, 5. And then we go up in a retrace, and then you have 3, 3, and then maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we go set a parabola. So when I had this drawn, I had it drawn just like that, and someone was, or a few people, I shared it in a Discord, and everyone's like, what, are you on crack? Like, is this a joke? Well, no, it's not a joke, because I could show you very, very easily what happened back over here. So if we go to XRP and we look at it right here, you could see this is where XRP took off. Look right here. This is where XRP took off right here. So if you notice, when was that? When was that takeoff? It was in the fractal. Remember the fractal we were just looking at? Let's go down again to the daily. Right? Remember, it was 1, 2, 3 drives to the high. Right? So this is a fractal, potentially, of what this is. So 1, 2, 3 drives to the high. Right? So we're on that third drive, potentially. Potentially. Okay, so if we go back over here, we have 1, 2, 3. So when did XRP take off? It took off on what? The third drive, guys, in a distribution fractal. This is the same thing. Bitcoin is going into its third drive in a distribution pattern. Okay, well, what happened the last time Bitcoin was going into its third drive in a distribution pattern? Well, gee, what happened? Let's see here. Let's see what happened. Yeah, XRP blasted off into the stratosphere. Well, not really. It only went into a retrace. Look what XRP did. Look what it did. When did it do it? When did it do it? It did it in a Bitcoin retrace. Look what Bitcoin did. All Bitcoin did was this little fart move. It was a little fart. Just a little poof in the wind. That's it. But what was the net result? Well, look at that. Look at this massive pump off that little fart in the wind. So when I share that to someone, people laugh. Well, what are you talking about? It happened literally last time. Okay. Is that not enough? Okay, well then let's go back and let's look right over, right over, so right here, look at this massive explosion, first of all. Okay, what was Bitcoin doing? What was Bitcoin doing? It was going in a bull run, right? But then what happened was it crashed and it was in a bear market. At that point, it was in a bear market. And then what happened? After it crashed, we had a 3-wave move up. It was a retrace. It was a retrace, just like the last time, but the last time it went and it took the top. This time, it was just a retrace. Okay, but what happened to XRP? Well, let's find out. Well, gee, would you look at that? It exploded. So I'm going to put the line. Here's the very top of Bitcoin right there. And I'm going to put the retrace right there. There we go. And you could see this is the beginning. This is the end. Right? So let's get rid of XRP. And you can see what happened here. Bitcoin was already going down as XRP exploded to the stratosphere. So it happened 2 times. It didn't happen just once. It happened twice. Okay? So what is stopping it from happening again? Right? So if Bitcoin is in this flat and we go get a retrace, that's what I want to see. That's could set up the environment for XRP to go to $10 potentially. Now, let's say we get this retrace and it doesn't happen. Okay, let's say it doesn't happen. Let's say here we go, we had this little retrace, but then all we got was a little retrace. Well, if that happens, then I would expect a prolonged sort of mid-cycle correction here. I would expect, again, 3 down, maybe 3 up, and then maybe 3 back down, and then we do something like that. Basically, boom, 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 flat, go. Boom, 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 flat, go. Right? Boom, 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 flat, go. I mean, that's kind of the way it works. So that's what I would think. So we have we have an opportunity here to get this to extend 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have and all it needs is 20 days. Look how long this took. 10, 20, 30 days. Okay. So if Bitcoin can retrace, now let's go back to Bitcoin here and let's look at this right here. How long did it take to retrace in this little level right here? It didn't take that long. Let's see. Well, would you look at that? It took 20 days. That's funny. That's it. That's funny. So it took the appropriate amount of time. So here's the thing. And you could say, well, how do we know XRP is going to do that in a Bitcoin retrace? Well, for one, it happened the last 2 times. And 2, what could be a reason that also happens is, again, the ammunition we have. Crypto regulation, crypto ETFs, crypto businesses growing. What is Ripple doing? Ripple isn't just sitting on their hands doing nothing. Do you think Brad Garlinghouse is just sitting down doing nothing? Well, probably he is because it's Thanksgiving. But no, I think they're continuing to work. They're continuing to develop partnerships. They're continuing to do many, many things. And I really feel like there's an announcement coming. There's just a lot to look forward to as far as crypto goes. It's like the internet, like back in the day. Like, what else are they going to do, right? So it's just a matter of time. And price will reflect it. It's just been relatively boring. There hasn't been. It's kind of like the calm before the storm. It's been kind of quiet, nothing really going on, and it seems bearish. Everybody's kind of upset. People think we're going to go down into a bear market, and then what happens? All of a sudden, we don't. Or all of a sudden, we get a quick move up, and then everyone says, okay, now the bull market's over, or the bull market's back in. But then I would be saying, no, 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 the bull market's over. Right? That's what would happen. Everybody who's crying bear market, bear market, bear market, bear market. If we go up and take the top in 5 waves and go up to, like, say, $6, then everyone's going to say, there's no bear market, we're in a bull market. But then I would be saying, no, we're basically about to be in a bear market. So I think that's what's happening. I think people say bear market, and then they're going to get faked out, and then we're going to go up, and then once we go up, people are going to say bull market, and then that's when we go down. So they're going to get screwed here, and they're going to get screwed here. If it happens, right? If it happens. I could be the one who's wrong, but I'm not going to be the one who gets screwed because I react based on what I see. I'm not married to one idea, right? So that's basically it for XRP. Again, the best thing I like about it is this flat. I mean, you can't deny what this looks like to me. Now, you could say this is bearish because when we look at ADA, right? Let's go look at ADA here. Where's it at? ADA USD. And then we'll use this one here. And then we go back in the day here. We'll go to the 3-day chart. So that's what happened to Cardano back in the day. And I know this fractal has been shared, so it would be a disservice if I didn't share it, and it could be this would be kind of like the ultimate bearish scenario where we don't even get a retrace, we just get a collapse, and we get basically a run on the dollar, right? Basically people are hunting for liquidity. So you had this like three-way move down, and then you had this three-way move up, You came down in a triangle, you hit the low, and then you started bottlenecking in here. Well, guess what? That's what you're doing here. You're bottlenecking in here. So this could be a disaster, right? This could set up for a massive collapse. And let's talk about that for a second. And if it did collapse, where did it collapse to? Well, if we take this, let's see here. The problem is, the difference is, this was a full-fledged bull market because you were out of the all-time high. Well, really, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves, right? I don't really like to count that as a fifth. It could be a fifth, right? It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this, what we're seeing, is an A and then a B and then a C, maybe. But what was I saying? So where did this thing go? Well, if we take a fib and we take it to the bottom, to the top, you could see it went basically to the 50% level. So if I did the same thing from the bottom to the top, where is that 50% level at? It's at $1.17. So it's not too crazy. So let's go back here to 117. Let's take a little bit of a zone here. And that's exactly the zone where we were talking about. So I would say anywhere from here to there, which isn't that bad. It's not that bad at all. And to be honest, we're only $1 away from that actually happening. So it's not too bad. Let's make this a little bit thinner right there. Right? So that could be where we're heading to, that we could have some kind of a dump down in here. But look, it would still give us a nice flat shape. It would give us an expanded flat shape. And then guess what? If that happened, I would still expect either a retrace or a parabola. So we just have to wait and see, right? We have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And that doesn't mean, selling everything you have. To me, I'm more looking at like buying, right? Buying, especially if we get down here to these two levels, which is, if we break that level, then I would look at this level for sure, 90 cents. I don't think we're going to go below 90 cents. I really don't think so. If we did, then we're probably going to 68 cents, which is really, I don't know. It just doesn't. I have to see what Bitcoin does. I have to see how Bitcoin reacts in its environment, in its retrace environment. So, and then another important thing to the puzzle is XRP versus Bitcoin. And it's still kind of, trending to the upside ever so slightly. I'm not sure what to make of that. I don't really like the way it looks. To me, it looks like it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go down for 5. So everything is still saying, we could see one more drop to the downside, because again, if we look at the small time frames, specifically right here, you could say, we had this move down right there, right? And then we came up, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, what if we come down and get 5? that would make sense. And this fifth wave would be a big capitulation. And then we kind of level off, and then it's the brand new year. A lot of things happen when you have a brand new calendar year. A lot of, either up, or it could be bearish or bullish, right? We've seen Januaries get really bearish, but we've also seen Januaries get very bullish. So it's a good thing that we're actually bearish. I mean, we've been bearish since summer. I mean, think about this for just a second. This is what psychological complacency does. It makes you think, well, since we've been going down, we're going to keep going down. But the way I look at it is, well, we've been going down since July, August, right? So that's July, August, September, October, November, December, January, right? That's a long time. This wave is going down, 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 down for all these months. What do you think is going to happen? Eventually, it's going to level off, and we're going to go back up. And if you don't think that, then I don't know what to tell you. So it could be that, we still have to come down a little bit further here, right? Because I don't like this, and I don't like that. It just looks like there's more. It looks like there could be more downside. It doesn't have that finished look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't have that finished sort of look that I would like to see, which took 6 months, right, to get down here, and then maybe the next 6 months is up. So we shall find out. But I'm trying to see if there's any examples. It kind of looks like, you had a little triangle here, a little triangle. I don't know why it moves like that. Little triangle there, little triangle there, right? You drop, you kind of do whatever that is, right? And then you have one more drop. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But anyways, let's hurry up and let's look at a few altcoins before it's really too late. So Bitcoin Cash, I'm still excited about this one. Curious to see what it will do. Did I just remove all my freaking indicators? Looks like I did. So Bitcoin Cash, I think, looks really, really, really interesting, especially, again, Bitcoin Cash has been like, look at Bitcoin. Look at Bitcoin here. You have this massive dump right here, right? But then look at Bitcoin Cash. It's basically cocking back like a loaded 357. It looks super deadly. It looks like it wants to break out. Look at the candle here. Just look at this candle like it's a bullish hammer candle. I don't know, man. It looks bullish to me. And the reason it looks bullish is because look at this. This chart also goes back 8 years. Look, you have a bull run here. You want to know something? The worst trade I ever made was Bitcoin Cash back in the top. I remember Coinbase listed it at the literal top, and I was so hyped up. I was so like doped up on, and like euphoria and dopamine, and because I made a lot of money on the cycle. So I bought it, and it was the worst buy ever. It was literally the top. And then I ended up selling it, I think, on that retrace or whatever. But that was really stupid. Learned my lesson very, very strongly. But look, you had this impulse, and you have a three-way pullback. Look at that, right? And then what comes after that? Well, it looks like to me you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then what come after that? Well, that's a 1. And there's A, B, C. There's your 1. There's your 2. And then we have A. And then B. And then we come down and C. And it's perfect. It's perfect. And then what happens after that? And then what happens after that it couldn't be better, which is what? Which is an impulse. And then what happens after that? Now we're flagging out. And what happens after that? Well, we should get 1. This is 2. We should get 3, 4, and 5. which would be 2 and then 3 and then, yeah, 4 and then maybe 5 later. So very exciting to see what happens with Bitcoin Cash. I mean, Bitcoin Cash doesn't look bearish because it's been, guys, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, Litecoin, um, you know, few other ones, XLM. I mean, they've been in bear markets for 8 years, so you can only beat them up so much. You know what I mean? You can only beat them up so much. So what we could do is we could look at BCH BTC, and let's look at this chart. Now, this chart is a complete disaster because you could see what's been going on. It's been crashing for 8 years. That's why they called it B trash, right? Not B cash, B trash, because it's just trash, right? So for 8 years, we're crashing, we're crashing, we're crashing. 8 years, 8 years, 8 years, crashing, crashing, crashing. But look what's happening now. Look what's happening now. You could see we're stretching, right? We're stretching, we're stretching, we're stretching, but now we're starting to curve. We're starting to curve, and we're getting extreme bullish divergence, I think. Let's take a look here. Let's go to the weekly. Oh, wow, look at that. That is the most insane thing ever. Look at that. Look at the weekly bullish divergence here. Especially right there. That's crazy. But now it's starting to create a little bit of bearish divergence, because you could see these two highs here versus there. That's hidden bearish divergence, actually, right? So, but anyways, it's still been beaten up really, really bad. So this could be like, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we still need 5. Could be the case, or it could be, we had 3, and then we have 3, and now we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it could be kind of a flat here, and then we kind of continue to melt down. We'll see. This is for a trade. This is not like, hey, we're going to get rich on Bitcoin Cash as an investment. No, this is just a quick trade to get in, to get out, So, yeah, it looks really bullish. Looks really bullish. Let's see how it plays out. I actually might, I had some Litecoin on Coinbase. I might swap some for Bitcoin Cash. I think I will do that for sure. Just because it looks a lot more bullish than Bitcoin, or than Litecoin does. So, yeah, I don't know what else to say except let's put on Bitcoin one more time. So, look at the difference, guys. I mean, you could see they were pretty much correlated, but then Bitcoin deviated in Bitcoin Cash. You can see the divergence there, right? So if Bitcoin gets a retrace, then that could be all it needs to really explode to the upside, right? Let's see. When did Bitcoin Cash get its... Yeah, so Bitcoin Cash got its top as Bitcoin was already crashing and at retrace levels. And it really hasn't done anything since then, right? Because the last rally, it didn't do anything on the last rally. That was just a retrace. So Bitcoin Cash really hasn't had any cycle because it came out in the middle of in the 2018 cycle, and then the 2021 cycle, it was in a retrace. So I'm curious to see what it will do. It's still being mined. It's still, people are consuming it. People are stacking it, right? Because eventually what happens is when Bitcoin runs out, when there's no more Bitcoin, people get Litecoin, then they get the Bitcoin Cash, right? These coins are going to be collector's items in the future. People mock it now, but it still has the Bitcoin name, right? Just think about like 20 years from now, it's going to be nostalgic. It's going to be like, oh, you own Bitcoin Cash? I remember when that first came out alongside Bitcoin. It's not going to be as valuable, but it still is. It has its place somewhat. And it's like, well, why would you hold it if it's dying against Bitcoin? And that's true. But the way I see it now is it's not dying against Bitcoin. It's actually looking like it wants to whip Bitcoin's ass, honestly. and I'm stoked for it. So, you have a little bit of a trend line here, and we've broken above that. So everything looks spot on, you know. So let's see how it plays out. And then for Bitcoin dominance, Bitcoin dominance is still, you know, looking a little bit sketchy. Uh, I'm curious to see what happens here. You got a little bit of a bottom. It looks like you're building a little bit of a base here. So I would expect a little bit of a bounce, and it makes sense because we're going into the weekend. So let's see if we get an ABC and then a continuation. So we would get 3, 3, and then 3, and it'd be a big 3, right? So you have an impulse, 3-way move down, and then you go down after that, right? Or is this just going to keep rocking down? I don't know. I would imagine we would get something like that. So, but when we get the 3-way move, and let's say we hit the retrace, that would be maybe when I would really pull the trigger on it, on whatever trade. So there's Bitcoin Cash, XRP versus Bitcoin. We looked at that. Let's see, is there anything else going on? Oh, Monero. You guys, another one you got to look at is Monero. So Bitcoin Cash and Monero. The two, like if you would have told me this in 2022 and said, yeah, Bitcoin Cash and Monero, those are the ones you're going to be looking at. I'm like, I'd call you crazy, right? Because, they're very boring. Like Bitcoin Cash, like who cares? It's a boring thing. Monero, it's a boring coin, right? It's not like fancy or savvy. I don't know. It's just kind of like one of those things. But yeah, I'm liking the way Monero is still rising here. Now, there's two things that could play out. I mean, I don't really like how it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, you're just doing all these waves. I'm concerned that it could be a little bit too much and you might need a flat. So like 3 down, 3 up, and then we still have to come down in a flat, build that base up in here, and then go up. Kind of like what we did right here. So we have a move up, we have a move up, we have a move down, we have a move down, we have a move up, we have a move up, we have a move down, we have a move down, we have a move up, we have a move up. See how I did that? So that's probably what we could see here, unless this is going to keep pushing up, which is also possible. I like this. You had this like, Monero likes to move like that. Like boom, 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 boom. You could even see it right in here. It likes to move like that on a smaller time frame. So, you had this 3-way move that was really nice. And now you came back up. So let's see how it continues to play. The one I don't really like is still others. I don't like others. It looks insanely bearish to me. The only way it is not bearish is if this turns into a 3-way move, which I think it could. I think this could turn into a 3-way move here. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. A. And this would come up into a B as Bitcoin goes into its retrace, and then we come down for its full-fledged C wave, which is what some people will call a bear market, but it would really be just this ABC correction. It would be a mid-cycle correction. So here's your cycle, here's your mid-cycle correction, and then we continue with the cycle. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it here. So unless, if this is going to keep coming down like this, then it would just be an ABC like that. Or if it's going to be a complex B, then we get a C wave like that. So either way, I think it's coming. So other than that, I don't see anything else worth mentioning. Let's look at THETA and Ethereum and Litecoin. So do I want to get rid of my Litecoin? I'm down on my Litecoin a little bit. From when I first bought it, but again, dollar cost averaging is important. It looks bearish to me. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks bearish. I don't really like the way it looks. So it looks Bitcoin Cash looks way better than Litecoin right now. So Litecoin's got problems, or short-term problems, but from a long-term perspective, it still looks really good, right? You got this 3 down, 3 up, and then you got this 3 down that maybe not quite be finished yet. Build a little base, and then we go up, just like how we had that 3 wave, that 3 wave. 1, 2, 1, 2, go. Ethereum. Ethereum's the one that I think is going to get a decent retrace because it fell quite a bit. But yeah, it looks to me now is starting to look more finished. It's got that finished look, like 1, 2, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, whoops, no, it'd be 1, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So no, it'd be that's your B wave. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So A, B, C. So Ethereum looks like it could be done. I wouldn't buy it now. I would wait a little bit of a 3-way pullback in here. Did we have any sequentials? I think we did. Oh, you almost made it to a 9 on the 4-day. Let's see, the 3-day. You almost made it to a 9 on the 3-day. The 2-day, you didn't make it to a 9. Is it the 5-day? Nope. Nope. What about the weekly? Nope. So, nothing there. But here's what I would say with Ethereum. Ethereum still looks bullish, right? You have an impulse. You have 3 waves down. You have 3 waves up. You have 3 waves down. And this took years, right? So you have a 3-wave move, and now you have an impulse, a pullback. So to me, it makes sense that we get a retrace. So what I want to see here from Ethereum relative to Bitcoin is when we look back at Bitcoin. Do I have Bitcoin on here? No. So when I look back at Bitcoin, right, when it gets its retrace, does Ethereum get its retrace? And then it comes down A, B, C, like this, and then we go up and take the top? Or is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we going to get a 5-way parabola like we were talking about with XRP, where we break out, right, and we go into this parabola? I mean, it's very possible. Very, 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 very possible. Let's see if that plays out. But either way, I'm expecting some kind of a bounce in here for sure. For sure. Look at that. You know, you just had a massive bullish pump. So it's not like all of a sudden we're bearish. You know, people are, you know, think about it from the other side, right? Like, let's say there was 5 people who wanted to get in Ethereum, but then it kept pumping and pumping and pumping and pumping, and they couldn't get in. Now we had all this pullback. Now they can get in because now you have support, right? You have this range right in here that's extremely relevant, right? Even going back over here. So there's a lot of price support, right? So to me, I think there's a good chance we bottomed and we're going to go up and hit the top. Now, for some other coins, we might need one more low, right? So if I zoom in here, let's see if we... I don't know. It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it could be 6, 7, which would be 1, 2. All of that would be 3, 4, and 5. And this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third. You count 5 in the third. So, and then we kind of go on up, which, you know, it's, what's today? Today's Friday. So, you know, today is Friday. So it's still relatively, you know, it still could get some price action today. It still looks relatively bullish. It still looks like it, you know, it still looks like this trend is intact and it could, you know, hit another high here. A matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we came up and tagged this first before getting any kind of a pullback. And then, yeah, I should have never got Litecoin that day. I should have just stuck with Bitcoin Cash or Monero. Look at Filecoin. Now, Filecoin's very interesting because you had this massive pump, massive dump, and now you're kind of just chilling sideways again. So it could be anything to set off a little bit of a retrace for Filecoin. But yeah, it still looks bearish. I mean, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you got shot down again for 5. What it needs is it needs time. It needs to just kind of go sideways so that I can get going again. Yeah, we looked at Monero, XLM. See, XLM's looking good, man. XLM's looking better. It's looking a little bit more finished. It's got that look to it. It's got that special look to it. You know how you had this little area? It looks like that right there. Got this little move here, this little move here. Right? So it's starting to look finished. Even if we take a trend line, we go down, and then we do the same thing here. Is it going to be the same length? Probably not. Probably needs a little bit lower to go. And if that's the case, then you're looking at right there. Right there is good. But yeah, look at XLM, man. Looks good. Right? You got this beautiful cup in here, another cup. You really got, you could look at this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we go up 5, and that's our third. Or this could be our third and our fourth and then our fifth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go get 5. But yeah, I really like this three-wave shape. I mean, just look at it. You got what could be a diag here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then three-way pullback. And then you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have this massive ABC4. Let's go get 5. And then how do we get 5? We get it in a Bitcoin retrace. And if we don't get it in a Bitcoin retrace, then we will eventually get it at some point, right? So especially with everything look forward to, right? I mean, who knows? We might get a Cardano ETF coming up soon. Maybe. We'll see. Trump looks no good. SHIB. I mean, it's getting closer. It looks okay. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like you're getting that fifth wave right now. Polygon looks horrible. AVAX looks horrible. I mean, it looks okay, but I don't like the way it looks. THETA looks like it's still coming down. Let's see. Let's go to the other THETA chart. This one. Let's see where it is relative to where it was. So for THETA, and I'll do another video on THETA, but we don't have a lot of time. But basically, I'm looking at this zone here. And theoretically, we already hit it, right? And then another thing, remember what we talked about with the wick. If you take the wick and you cut it in half, that's usually where we go to, and that's exactly what's happening. So I would say maybe a little bit more to go. This could come down like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just be grueling and retest, a large portion of that wick before it kind of sets a low and starts to go back up. So we need that finish move coming in first, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So we're basically done. This is the last wave, guys. We are at the end. People say, oh, we're at the beginning. No, we're at the end. This was the beginning. This is the end. This is our bear market. This is our bull market. This is our bear market. And we're almost to the end. And then once we get to the end, then we go on a bull market or a retrace, either way. So nothing really there. I mean, it's just a waiting game. It's just waiting and seeing how it's going to play out. Link, I mean, Link's seen some better days, but people look at this, say, oh, it's a head and shoulders. I look at it and say, well, you have 5 waves up and you have 3 waves down. So you have a 5-wave move up and a 3-wave pullback. So we could keep going up. ICP, yeah, it was a flat. See how this turned into a flat, just like that. And now it's melting back down. XRP still $131 billion market cap. Fetch. Go fetch me a bull run, Fetch. Well, look at Fetch. I mean, it looks to me like it's essentially finished, just about. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe you get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see. XDC. See, I don't like this. I'd much rather see it like that. But regardless, you got a 3-wave move here, so it looks good. Bohm just needs... Bohm is going home. That was a disaster. THETA, disaster. Nearly on the edge. THETA Fuel. THETA Fuel is interesting. I think THETA Fuel has more down to go. I don't think it's finished, but I think it's getting very close. So, total 3. People look at this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. 1, 2. Same with Doge. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So everything's in the C wave. See? A, B, C. Everything's in the C wave. A, B, C. So Aave. Aave's also in the C wave. Look. A, B, C. So what I'm saying here is once the C wave finishes, we should see a retrace or potentially a parabola. But we're not going to see that with something like VeChain, for example, right? You have A, you have B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down for C. So A, B, C. So you have an impulse, a 3-wave pullback. But I don't think the 3-wave pullback's finished. It needs to finish, and then it needs to go into a retrace. What the hell's going on with Zcash? So Zcash looks like I wouldn't want to be holding Zcash anymore. Let's just say that. Looks like it could be on its way back down, maybe. And then we have Bitcoin here. And Bitcoin looks like it's still kind of... Oh, well, look at here. Look at this. We had a flat here, right? We had 3 down, we had 3 up, and then we had a fast and furious move down. So A, B, C. There's your flat. So let's see what comes out of that. XRP dominance looks a little bearish on that time frame. So anyways, what's gold and silver doing here? I'm already at 1 hour and 20 minutes. Oh, gold looks good. For we don't want gold to go up anymore. What we want, what the hell's going on? What we want is, wow, look at silver. Let's go, baby. Yeah. Silver, man. Let's go. Let me put it against gold. Wait, is gold? Gold is XAU. XAU. So if I go XAU, whoops. No, where'd it go? Where's gold at? All right, well, I guess that didn't work, did it? So wait a minute. You could put it up against Aave and whatever that is, but you can't put it up against gold? That's weird. Anyways, look at silver, man. Wow. This makes me feel good that I had I listened to the right people in 2018 when they were screaming, Greg Hunter and Bix Weir and X22 Report, and there's a lot of silver guys that out there. A lot of them. Can't think of their names right now, but look at this thing, man. It is on its way. It is a rocket ship. We're in a rocket ship. I mean, we are literally in price discovery. We are basically at silver new all-time highs, guys. I've been waiting for this for 8 years. I never thought, if you would have asked me what goes first, XRP or silver, I would have said XRP. I can't believe silver is doing it. It's basically in. I mean, look at this. This isn't just a 8-year thing like XRP. This is going back like 40 years, 50 years, whatever. So this is huge. This is the biggest cup in the world. There's no cup that's this big. And you have a handle. And we're literally breaking out of the largest cup and handle in human history right this second, guys. So this could go extremely parabolic, and that's why I told. And look at this. You have a cup and handle right here, guys. You have a cup and you have a handle. Look how beautiful that is. So we don't know, though. Maybe this turns into, is this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the 5th wave, and then we get divergence? Or is this going to turn into a flat like A, B, C, and then we get going again? Not completely sure, but one thing is for sure, we really want crypto to get going again. Here's the DXY. The DXY kind of looks a little like it could come back down a little bit. The Russell's the one we want to see break out as well. So XRP versus ETH. I'm just kind of looking at everything, getting a sense of everything. So yeah, anyways, that'll do it for this video. SPX looks good. Look at that. You had a 3-way pullback and now you're starting to rampage. I think there's a very good chance that we could see something in this Q4 level. Let's go back to Bitcoin Cash. I would get this deal, this Black Friday deal on TradingView. I would totally get it. I think it's worth it. So with Bitcoin Cash, though, I want to see if this is a B wave, right? So you had an impulse, you had 3 waves down, you had 3 waves up. Let's see if we go back down in 5 and then we continue. That's actually how I would think about it. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm going to go ride my dirt bike.